Welcome on in to Card Central 365. We're powered by Gray Bar and presented by DraftKings. He's Ethan Hannaford. I'm Luke Slabaugh. And Ethan, it all comes down to this: the home finale. Cards, Brewers, one last dance at Busch Stadium. Chance for the fans to go out, show the players how much they really love them. What are you looking forward to here on this Sunday?
Love or hate, we don't really know right now where Cardinals fans stand. Well, I will say this, though. Cardinals fans have always done a really good job, even in these last several years where they've been relatively disappointing in large part. Their salutations right there, their adioses until next year have always been respectful. I expect it to be today. I imagine we're going to get some sort of farewell to John Mozeliak today, which will be also interesting to keep an eye on. But yeah, a lot of lasts. The most notable one, I think, being John Mozeliak, but it could be a last for a couple of other guys too. We don't know the status of Nolan Arenado. We don't know the status of Sonny Gray. We don't even technically know the status of Wilson Contreras, even though he still has that no trade clause, as does Sonny. There's been a little more talk around Sonny potentially waiving it this offseason, and then there has Wilson, Miles Michaelis, another notable one. So there's quite a few guys today that will be playing their final home game or could be playing their final home game at Busch Stadium, and I imagine that the fans will give them some love as a result of it.
Right. Words of the wise. Having interacted with the Cardinals media team before, those John Mozeliak highlights, just front load them. Do the 08 to 012 or the 08 to 12 special. Just kind of cook up some stuff there. I'm just playing. It'll be fine. And we saw a smattering of applause last night for Miles Michaelis. He goes 5+, 2 earned runs. Totally fine. Doesn't leave in line for the win, but the fans give him kind of the golf clap that I was anticipating. I know Randy Carricker called me crazy last weekend when I said that was, potentially an option. Just remember the good times. Worked very hard for 8 years. Just, have a solid outing. Go out, respectfully part ways. I thought that was great. And I'm not trying to be patronizing towards St. Louis fans at all. Like, y'all are amazing. Y'all are smart. But like, it's logical. Like, Miles went out respectably, and Joseph Pilaster, excuse me, correct me if I'm wrong on the pronunciation here, says, I have confidence in my fellow Cardinal fans and will be classy. Go ahead if you haven't. Leave a comment in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from, what your Cardinals fandom story is. And if you're new for the first time, a few dozen of you in the chat right now, just, there's card stuff every day with Ethan, with Joe Roderick, with Randy Carricker, with Bernie Miklasz, with the whole gaggle of geese that we got here at Card Central 365. To your point about this being John Mozeliak's final go around, how do you anticipate the reception will be for the longtime Cardinals exec?
I imagine that it'll probably be respectable. Listen, I know that fans are frustrated with how the last couple of years have gone down, and that could honestly stretch out even further. I mean, when you go back to 16, the Cardinals have won, I think, 2 postseason games. Is that right? Is it even 2? Regardless, 29. It's definitely 2 because they won 3 in 2019. Yeah, I think it's, and then they won 1 in 2020. So they've won 4 since 2016. So either way, right, there have been frustrating moments, and John Mozeliak, being the president of baseball operations, he is a huge reason as to why things went in a bad direction. Huge reason. But he's also a huge reason as to why they had so much success in the early 2010s and even the 2000s when he wasn't the general manager at that time, but was still very involved in the front office while Walt Jocketty was running things. So Leo commenting here saying Mo shouldn't get booed, but should get much more than a smattering of applause and a wet fart. That doesn't seem very classy to me, as Joseph said earlier. But I would imagine that John Mozeliak gets an applause today. I don't know if he's getting a standing ovation. Cardinals fans of old, I think, probably would have. I don't know if this bitter and tattered Cardinals fan base that is going to be here today will give him that. But either way, I think it'll probably be a relatively warm farewell for John Mozeliak.
I'd say there's generally speaking two ranges. There's either the standing ovation or there's the booing. In the middle is probably worse. Just like if there's dead silence and you hear just the discordant echo of the PA system going there at Busch Stadium. I hope that's not the case. I really don't. And you mentioned the wide range of emotions that Cardinals fans have right now. Justifiable anger, sometimes some embarrassment, sometimes apathy. There's a lot to consider as this team is 5 games under 500 with 7 games left to play. They would have to rip off 7 wins in a row to finish the season over 500. With the Giants and the Cubs over the cliff, I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen. The Brewers got a lot to gain. Their magic number to win the division is 1, and coming off a little bit of a disappointing and angry uh, angering loss last night. 10 innings, and Lars Nootbaar kind of runs himself into a double play out there in the bottom of the 10th in a one-run game against the Brewers. The Cardinals are 24-20 in one-run games. But last night had some highs, had some lows. You mentioned Nolan Arenado, a couple of really good defensive plays there, top of the fourth with 2 outs. Joey Ortiz hitting a tapper to third base. He barehands it, gets him out by a hair. And in the top of the ninth as well, no outs. There's a runner on first and Andre Monasterio. And Ortiz again with a swinging bat, kind of near the swinging bunt, kind of near the handle of his bat, breaks it in two. The shard is like pinwheeling towards Arenado, and he's still able to get the force out there at second base. Really good stuff to remember the Cardinals by this year, but still some things that make you scratch your head and go, "What are they doing?" So it's been kind of a mixed bag for the Cardinals in 2025. How would you sum up this season as a whole, as we're kind of generalizing here?
I would I think that I would recognize 2025 as the year that the Cardinals finally had their come to Jesus meeting, or recognize that a come to Jesus meeting was necessary. And that is going to be coming this offseason probably, right? When the new upper management, or should I say the new president of baseball operations, attached with whoever he brings in, as well as whoever's there now, is going to have to say, hey, there's some things that are going to have to change. We're going to have to break this down a little bit. There have been talks now that as a result of this retool, this runway season in 2024 not going as well as a lot of the upper management pieces were hoping it would, that they are going to have to move into a multi-year rebuild now. Now, does that mean that the Cardinals are going to be a 100-loss team the next 2 to 3 years? No, I don't think so. I still think there's a way in which they can do this with some pace, but you're going to have to move on from some players. You're going to have to clear out some of these big contracts, and you're going to have to open up opportunities for guys like J.J. Weatherholt to be able to play every day next year, let alone Nolan Gorman and some of these other guys that they weren't able to do that for successfully this year. So overall, it's not far off from a lot of the expectations that people set. They're 5 games under 500. If they finish the year 500, they would end up, what would that be? What would 5 games under 500 be? 70, I guess 78 and 84, or 79 and 83. How far off is that from the expectations that a lot of people set come opening day 2025? I think I had them pegged for an 83 to 85 win team. So I was 5 to 6 games off, but I feel like the realistic expectation was between 78 to 84 wins for this team that a lot of people were setting. So you're in that window. Is it disappointing? Yeah, it's disappointing in the sense that you always hope to be able to be better than you expect to be. But this is pretty on point for what this team was. A lot of growing pains this year. There were some high points. May was a really fun month. You take away May, and it's been pretty bumpy at times, but a lot of growing pains. A young team that is learning what it looks like to play at the major league level, to have that major league level of IQ, to be able to adjust to both major league hitting and major league pitching. Not an easy task. So they will be better for it. Most of these players, I think, especially in the lineup, will be better for it come 2026, but I don't think you made nearly as much ground as you would have hoped to going into the start of 2025.
Cardinals have not suffered a 100 loss season since 1908. They are staring down the barrel of 3 consecutive seasons without making the postseason. I don't think a St. Louis crowd could stomach 100 losses. And Jeff Castle putting the pin on our conversation with John Mozeliak, saying, "I sincerely hope that he gets a standing ovation. He's done so much good. Don't let these last 3 seasons ruin everything that he has done." JP Van Pelt giving a great plug for our other content on STL Sports Central, saying, just started following on Facebook yesterday. The Facebook is a good thing. Subscribe to Blue Central. Looking forward to Billiken Central. And the show starting February 9th, 2026. Super excited about all of that. St. Louis, I have an announcement for you. Get ready. JP Van Pelt, get off my screen. Where are you? Get off. There. Thanks, Ethan. Appreciate you. DraftKings is coming. #1 rated sports book. New Missouri customers, you get $300 in bonus bets when we launch on December 1st. Download now and place a $5 bet when DraftKings goes live. It includes live in-game betting, lightning fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when we officially go live in Missouri, you'll be betting with the sportsbook app trusted by millions, safe, secure, and with fast money withdrawals. Call to action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code STL Sports to grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live on December 1st. That's code STL SPORTS in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Some news popping up as manager Ali Marmol spoke with the local reporters before yesterday's game against the Brewers that Ivan Herrera is in the mix to catch next year. That is, ooh, look at that. The organization, led by incoming president of baseball ops Chaim Bloom, wants Ivan Herrera to take up the catching position once again in 2026. There has been a lot working against Ivan Herrera. He's been working through an undisclosed throwing shoulder injury. They have not mentioned the nature of that. He had a left hamstring strain earlier this year. And since the start of last year, get this, 70 of 74 base runners have had successful stolen base attempts. So for a guy who's OPSing 816 and hitting 16 home runs on the year, putting him in the center of the diamond at a premium position skyrockets his value. That is no question the reason why they're making this move. If you can have just passable defense at the catcher position with that offensive production, 2 thumbs up. What are the potential pitfalls that the Cardinals could face, Ethan, if they move ahead with Ivan Herrera catching just a share of the games in 2026?
Ivan Herrera has shown an inability to be able to throw runners out. And in today's day and age of baseball, I feel like it's more important than ever to be able to have a guy that can, because the advantage these days is given to base runners with the limits to being to pick off attempts. With the bigger bases, there is an advantage given these days to base runners. So it's more important to be able to have a guy that can have some sort of reins on the base running game, on the stolen base game in today's day and age of baseball. Ivan Herrera, up to this point in his career, has not been that. They were encouraged by some of the signs that they had seen from him coming into the 2025 season, some of the work he'd been doing through drive line, being able to, strengthen his hips, his explosiveness, helped his bat, I think, more than it did, honestly, his arm and his ability to throw runners out, and came into the season and was not able to translate. He deals with a couple of injuries and he's DHing the rest of the year. I understand why the Cardinals want to do this because, to be quite frank, they really can't afford to have Ivan Herrera DHing every single day. There's too many guys that fit into that spot, but simultaneously, there's an understanding that Herrera needs to be in the lineup every single day. And if Herrera needs to be in the lineup every single day, that means that Alec Burleson's never going to have a day to DH. It means that Contreras is never going to have a day to DH. He's going to need more of those days in these next couple of years on his final 2 seasons here, probably. Nolan Gorman is never going to be able to DH. It becomes a problem all of a sudden when you have one guy that is set aside as your everyday DH, but there's a lot. Now we're talking as if all this logjam is still going to be there in 2026. I believe that Chaim Bloom is going to be able to clear some of it out. So there are concerns in that sense. Can Ivan Herrera limit the stolen base game enough to where he can hold his own as a catcher? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But you are right in the sense that his getting him back to this spot most definitely does, I think, get him back to his highest point of appeal, right? Which is at the position that he has played his entire life, right? Rather than making a transition to the outfield, which would have its bumps and bruises along with it. Chaim Bloom going ahead and deciding this is what makes the most sense. This is what we're going to roll with. It'll be interesting to see what 2026 looks like in that sense. You never make these kinds of decisions based off of what you have in the system, but the Cardinals do have 3 very talented young catching prospects. We've seen a little bit of Jimmy Crooks this year. Maybe they've gotten a little bit of an idea as to where he is at. Leonardo Bernal is in Double-A, and Reinel Rodriguez, the one that is getting everyone excited, 19 years old. He's in Single-A, so still a little bit of time for him. But certainly there is a lot of pieces regarding the catching position that the Cardinals are going to have to figure out how exactly they're going to want to navigate it. The first one, it seems like they have, in that they want to give Ivan Herrera a period of time to be able to roll at the catching position.
Catching coordinator Ethan Goforth will be leading that instruction. The question is, where are they going to do it? The facility in Jupiter is undergoing construction all off season, so it'll be interesting to see where they even have these workouts or where they decide to work on his throwing and his catching development. Left-hander Matthew Liberatore takes the mound in the home finale. The Brewers starter has not been disclosed yet. It could be a bullpen game. It's a 1:15 first pitch on FanDuel Sports Network Midwest. Ethan, final thoughts as we wrap things up here on the home finale edition of Card Central 365.
It's always bittersweet, the home finale, not game 162, but game 81 here at Busch Stadium. Like I said, there's a part of you that's always a little bit, man, it's ending. I know it's been frustrating. It's been at times abysmal to watch, but the reality is that you're going to have to wait until next April, at least, to watch Cardinals baseball at Busch Stadium. And that makes me sad. I'm going to be at the game today. Definitely, I'm going to go, and I'm going to take it all in one final time before I have to wait months to do so again. But, a frustrating year, yes, but still good moments mixed in and positive things to take away still, regardless, individually. Not to say that you're satisfied with a year like this, but, a building block, hopefully, in the right direction, and the end of an era, the final home game for John Mozeliak. So be interesting to see what his reception is. But regardless, we appreciate all of you fans being a part of 2025 with us, the 2025 home slate with us, and we look forward to wrapping up this season on the final road trip, and then into the offseason we go.
Don't cry because it's over. Cry because Eric Fetty will likely take the mound today at Busch Stadium. He's Ethan Hannaford. I'm Luke Slabaugh. This has been Card Central 365, presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Have a great day.